Hello, so today I am going to be talking about truth, how to discern truth within your own body. This is a real theme that I am seeing right now, is that people don't actually know how to feel what is true for them, and that is a really big problem in the times that we are living in. It is more important now than ever that we understand exactly how to run truth, the ultimate truth, the highest truth, through our bodies and feel it and resonate with it and be able to go, I know what that is. You know, one of the main things I see with clients and even just with conversations that I have with people is that there's almost this thing of, well, I don't know, and nobody really knows, and this kind of thing. And I feel that we're moving out of that. We're moving out of that time where it's like, nobody really knows what's going on. Yes, we fucking do. We know exactly what is going on. We know exactly what is going on within our bodies, within our hearts. We are able to intuit the truth. We have just forgotten how, for the most part. And as well, why this is so important is, unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware of the natural disasters that are happening right now, which, there's nothing natural about them. And when I'm reading the sort of collective energies right now, there's so much fear. There is so much fear, and I completely understand why that is. When you are being told from all of these different angles that the world is literally burning, you're at risk from the sun, you're at risk from the moon, you're at risk from, whatever it is, right? You're at risk from the world that you live within. It makes it really, really hard to be able to discern what is actually going on. And, speaking from experience as well, when you're in a state of real fear, it can be hard to actually know, to be able to intuit what is the right steps for you, what is the right action. And my advice to you, if you're in that space right now, is just to ask yourself, what's the next right step? And whether that's you get up and you get a cup of tea, maybe, I don't know, you're cold right now, you get a hot water bottle, whatever it is, you do something that is comforting to you, you do something that is a good reset for your nervous system, because it's only then that you're able to actually perceive on the wider, bigger picture scale of things. And I think as well that, we're coming into a time where there is a huge, what we might term as like a timeline split, which is occurring now. I base a lot of my cosmology off the work of Rudolf Steiner, and what he talks about is a shift that is occurring right now. Now, this was his predictions from over 100 years ago, but what he talks about is how there is the eighth sphere, which is essentially almost like a shadow of Earth, which passes by Earth, and it acts as a funnel. So it pulls everything that is out of alignment with the higher versions of Earth, with the higher timelines. It sucks everything out, almost like a vacuum or a buffer, and it allows for the ascension of Earth to take place. So it almost looks like this. And so when you are choosing what to believe, you are literally choosing your timeline. You are choosing either the higher timelines or you're choosing the lower timelines. And this is why we see so many different reads on the future of Earth, because people are literally reading different Earths, and even when you look back, when you do past timeline readings, which I do all the time in my sessions, you have different versions of Earth. And when I first started doing this, I'd be like, that feels like Earth, but it's not Earth. And it's like, yeah, because it's a past version of Earth. And so it's the same with future readings. It's the exact same. So if you're in a state of fear, what do you think you're going to be reading? You're not going to be reading the higher timelines. You're going to be reading the eighth sphere timelines of Earth, which are all doom and frigging gloom. So, this isn't you know, I really take against those, you know, those sort of videos that are kind of like urgent, you know, death unless you do this, or, you know, all of this kind of stuff, right? We can change. We always have it available to us in this time that we're living in to change those timelines, to choose a different path. And I'm seeing that all the time, you know, people waking up, however slowly or gradually that may be happening. It is happening because people, you know, as people are becoming more aware. We are living in the age of revelations, and so many different holy texts and prophets and all of this kind of stuff have predicted this for millennia, that there would be a time where we would be exiting a dark age and the truth would be revealed, and that there would be those who would choose to remain in darkness. And that's why sovereignty, know thyself, is so important. It is like, I think if there is one truth to live by, there's one universal truth that you choose to live your life by, it is know thyself. It is, and that's where all of this stuff around knowing your body, choosing embodiment, not being scattered in the false light realms, but where choosing embodiment is so important. Know thyself. It begins with the body. And so that's another message that's been coming through lately that is really important, I think, as we're coming into Mercury retrograde on the 23rd of August, entering into the sign of Virgo, which is the sign of the High Priestess, which is also the sign of like the harvest. And you know, it represents the Virgin, which is the, you know, another term for a High Priestess. It represents the body, the vessel. So it's like, if you are putting stuff into your body which is artificial, which is not of the earth, and which is dense, then it's harder for us to be able to read higher frequency information. You know, this is really a great time to be doing fruit cleansing or a juice cleanse or something like that, something which really strips everything back. That's what the role of the mystic is. It's to strip things back to their base level truth. It's alchemy. And this is what we are going through, is an alchemical process. And you can liken what is happening with Earth to an alchemical process. It is when the eighth sphere passes by and it starts to suck everything that is out of alignment, that's an alchemical process, you know? And so that exact same thing is happening with us. And it's so, there is no fear here. There is no fear. There is only choice. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Your evolution, your ascension lies wholly in your hands. Like, how beautiful is that? You don't have to rely on anybody else's word. You don't have to rely on anybody else's methods or ideas or beliefs. It all comes back to you. It all comes back to sovereignty, to know thyself. It all comes back to the choices that we make. So do you choose love or do you choose fear? It really is that simple. And I understand that, you know, when we've been plugged into those fear paradigms for a long time, for years and years and years, it can be hard to unplug from them, but it is completely and utterly possible. And I'm speaking from somebody who has done it. You know, I was literally conspiracy queen for a very, very long time. And, you know, I made a decision back in 2021 where I received this really beautiful download around, you know, that sort of shift that was taking place within the higher realms, and realized that actually I don't want to plug into that stuff anymore. And it's such an important part of our awakening process to start questioning everything that is going on in the world and we start to realize that things are not the way that they seem. And, you know, that really started for me when I was 17, and I really started to sort of question the world around me. And, you know, it's such an important stage of evolution. You know, when we start looking online and we start going, 9/11, you know, it's like all those gateways into that that sort of culture of conspiracy, if you will. And there's a lot of truth that lies within those spaces, but there's also a lot of distortion. You know, there's a lot of inaccurate readings. There's also a lot of stuff which is predictive programming, which is coming from those beings with darker agendas who will put stuff into the conspiracy communities, flat earth, QAnon, these things which are just, run it through your body, right? But to me, those are things which are to catch people who are waking up and who maybe haven't got their discernment super sharp yet, to capture them and pull them into these really convoluted streams of information, and which make it even harder for you to be able to discern what is actually going on within you. And so for me, it was really important to pull out of those spaces and to not turn a blind eye. I'm still completely aware of things which are going on. However, I have chosen to choose love, to choose higher states of being, to choose that when I do feel fear, I sit with it and I go, okay, I know that actually this is most likely coming from a past life, or this is coming from another timeline that I'm still plugged into, or this is coming from maybe like a childhood fear or something that I've picked off somebody else, maybe even just walking down the street, So it's really important to be able to track where that stuff is coming from in your body, because quite often when you see things that are happening in the world, often it's reflecting back to you like a wound or a trauma from a previous lifetime, maybe a lifetime where it was Atlantis or Lemuria and there actually were cataclysms. As we're coming out of dark ages, this is what happens, is that we get this kind of recycling of these old paradigms so that people can choose to clear their karma from those timelines. How many people come to me and I'm like, yeah, you've still got this Atlantis timeline running, we need to collapse that. You've still got this timeline running from ancient Egypt, we need to collapse that, So, and this is all just part of the cleanup process. And, if you are doing your healing work, if you are focusing inward as much as you can, then just trust that you are plugged into those higher timelines. It's only when we are really in states of like extreme fear that we will find ourselves plugging into the eighth sphere, especially as well, when we're when there's a lot of like sexual trauma, things like that we're really holding on to, when there's a lot of really dark types of wounding that we are refusing point blank to address. That's the kind of stuff that funnels us into the eighth sphere. And there's always a way back, even with everything. And when people reincarnate and if they do get plugged into the eighth sphere, there's still opportunities for them to make their way back to the light. There always is, it's never the end in that sense. That's not the way this cosmos functions or operates, on like closing points. That's a very material, very human way to look at things and to understand things. And so how do we actually discern truth within our bodies? So I would say start small. Little things like using your body as a pendulum. The pendulums where you can ask sort of yes or no, and it will swing in that direction. Now, pendulums, as much as people like to believe that they're completely objective, they're definitely not. The pendulums are reading your energy field. So if you are holding a subconscious belief, the pendulum is only ever gonna reinforce that, and that can sometimes be the case when we're trying to work out if something is true for ourselves as well. Something can feel true, but it isn't actually. And that's where things like bypass statements can be really useful. So saying, if I could see the truth in this situation, what would I see? And just going with what comes to you and sitting with it. And it's little things like, yes and no are really good places to start with this. So it's like, do I want to go out to the shop right now? and feel if your body, you'll know if it feels like you actually want to go outside right now, because your body will be, you're like right now, my body's tensing up. It's raining outside, I don't want to go outside. My body's like tensing up right now when I ask myself that question. So I know that either I've got some sort of resistance to that, or it's just full on just isn't for me right now, and it isn't resonating as truth. Now, when I think about, you know, do I want to like really have a relaxing day today? I've been really busy recently. My body starts almost like moving. It starts swaying. It starts like rocking into it. And I'm like, yeah, damn right. That's exactly what I want to do. So it's resonating as truth within me. And so that would be an example of starting off really small. Another good way to do it is with things that you're wearing. You know, or if you can't decide sort of what outfit to wear, it's like, okay, what outfit is going to create the most for me today? And just your body will tell you. Your body will tell you what colors, what shades, what items are going to make you feel the fullest version of yourself. You know, quite often we know exactly, not always, but quite often we'll know exactly what we want to wear and things like that. So it's like noticing and paying attention when you do just want to say yes to something, because that's your body going, this is true. You know, it's like, it's never a case of we don't actually know what's true. We're just not sure how to read it. That's the difference. We always do know what is right for us. We always do know what is true. It's just a case of often we don't actually know how to discern what that feels like. And, you know, another thing to be conscious of is sometimes things can feel like a no, right? Sometimes it can feel like, no, I actually don't want to do that. But that's because you're feeling resistant to it. And you might be resistant to it because actually that's the thing that's going to drive you over the edge into your next level. And, you know, I've spoken about this. Lots of people speak about this, spoken about this in other videos, that often you meet the most resistance just before you're about to push through onto your next layer, onto your next level. It's always darkest before the dawn. And I think that's a really good metaphor for the times that we're living in right now, that it's always darkest before the dawn. We're always gonna feel like, fuck, this is really, really hard right now, right before we push through and we break through into the light, into the dawn, into the rising sun, illumination. And so I think that the beauty in what is happening right now with all of these, man-made disasters that are happening is that it is inviting us to choose our timelines, to choose how we want to live in this world. We can view things and we can go, okay, I see that, and I see how difficult that is for the people that are most affected by it, and I'm holding space for that, and I'm, you know, sending love to those situations. But I can also take a step back and go, I know that this is happening as an invitation, and it is an invitation for me to choose an accelerated version of my own evolution. It gives me an opportunity to choose that sense of love and to cultivate that sense of peace within me. And yes, it might be challenging, but I have all the tools available to me to do it. So whether that is meditation, whether that's, you know, just gentle touch, whether that is, you know, everybody has their different modes and methods and tools through which they're able to do that. But that is really, really the most important thing right now, is getting that nervous system in check, getting it into a place of balance and alignment where we're able to just relax in our bodies. And that is what these darker forces do not want. They do not want us to be able to relax. And another note as well is that if you look back, even just throughout your own lifetime, you will often see that the fear agendas usually start around this time of year. And that's because we're coming into autumn in the West anyway. We're coming into the harvest, and this is the time where they start to harvest fear. This is the time where they start to make their grander plans for the winter, because the energy in winter is much more dense, it is much more thick. And so magic that you do in winter, this could count for high magic or low magic, or, you know, dark occult magic, it thick in a different way than it does in the summer. In the summer there is so much more illumination, and so really being aware of the ramping up of these agendas and just call it for what it is. I see that is these darker forces who know that in the higher realms they have already lost their battle, and that is why they are trying so hard. They are trying so hard to maintain control on this realm because they have lost it in others, okay? And that was a big part of what I was receiving in 2021, is that we are just going through this consolidation process on Earth right now, because it is in the more denser material realms. It takes longer for these things to happen, and this is part of the Earth's ascension process, and we just have to trust that, you know. And also, it isn't just like a blind sense of trust, it's I trust that, and I'm working on myself. I am working on cultivating that space of love within my body, within my heart. I'm working on my purification processes. I'm making sure that what I consume and what I put in my body and what I consume through technology and through media is as purified and as refined as I can allow it to be. And that is really what we are being offered during this time, is this refinement process. You know, so many of us have, you know, we've been awake for a while, right? We've gone down the conspiracy rabbit holes, we've done all of that stuff, and now it's like turn the gaze inward. Refinement. A lot of us have also shifted really big traumas, you know, so it's about looking at what is still running in your field, the past life stuff, the things from other civilizations that you may have lived in which might be still running in your field, you know, all of this kind of stuff. It's refinement. We are going through this intense refinement process. Diamonds are formed under pressure, and it's about having that faith, holding that lamp of love, of faith, and of truth within us. So thanks for watching. If you got any questions, leave me a comment. And I was going to say as well, because someone had messaged me asking to sign up for my newsletter on YouTube, and I forget not everybody here follows me on Instagram. So if you do want to sign up for my newsletter, it's all just kind of similar to the stuff I talk about on here, but in a more written form, and also poetry and sometimes spiritual essays and channelings and things like that. Then just send me an email and I will add you to my list. So thank you so much for watching, and take care and have the most blessed, amazing day.